Hi there, so you got yourself some variable ND filters for your Osmo Pocket 3 and now you want to get the best out of them. We're going to be using these variable ND filters from Freewell in this video. Links to these are in the description and this is not a sponsored video, but you could be using variable ND filters from other brands and still use this same technique I'm about to show you. I'm just going to go and get this crazy tripod setup ready so I can record the screen on the Pocket 3. While you can use variable ND filters in full auto mode, if you really want to make your video shine, you're going to need to switch to Pro mode. So I'm just going to swipe from the right and then I'm going to tap Pro to switch to Pro mode, and then I'm going to tap on exposure. What you want to do is use this dial on the left hand side to select a shutter speed, and you're going to want to use these shutter speeds that I'm going to show you on screen right now depending on the frame rate you're using, and as a rule of thumb try and set a shutter speed that's roughly double your frame rate. So we chose a frame rate of 24p, so our frame rate is going to be 1/48. The closest we can get on the Pocket 3 is 1/50th here. Next you're going to want to choose an ISO, so you can select a fixed ISO. This ranges from 50 all the way up to 3200. So in this case, let's go and select an ISO of 50. At the top left here, you can see this EV value. This is currently plus 1.7. If you see a positive value here, this means that you're going to be overexposed and the image is going to be too bright. If you see a negative value here, it means that the image is probably going to be too dark and underexposed. Once you're happy with your settings, tap confirm to save them. I'm also going to change this to standard color mode. As you can see on the Pocket 3 screen here, everything's completely overblown and overexposed. And if you look at this value here, hopefully you can see that it's currently reading plus 1.7. Just put my hand in front of the Pocket 3. You can see this value changing, and this is what the Pocket 3 currently thinks the exposure is. It's telling us that it's overexposed essentially, and we need to add some ND filters to reduce that brightness. So I'm going to start off by adding the 1 to 5 stop filter onto the front of the lens. The really nice thing about these is that they're magnetized, so they just click straight onto the front of the Pocket 3. So the EV value is still plus 1.7, which means we're overexposed. I'm going to go and rotate the front of the ND filter to change it from 1 stop to 2 stops of ND or light reduction. We're still overexposed. So now I'm going to go and change it to 3 stops just by rotating the front of the ND filter. Still overexposed, and you can just keep doing this 1 stop at a time until the exposure is correct. Now we've reduced it from plus 1.7 to plus 1.3, so we're going in the right direction. Still a bit overexposed though, and we'll go and max out this first ND filter at 5 stops of ND light reduction, and we've managed to reduce this EV value from plus 1.7 down to plus 1 now. If I just turn you around, we've at least reduced that exposure enough to record my face without it being completely overexposed, even though my eyes are a bit overexposed squinting into this sunlight. So in this case, we might want to go and swap out the variable ND filter for the second range, which is even stronger. So we're going to take off this 1 to 5 stop filter. And as soon as we do that, see everything goes almost white, and we'll put on the 6 to 9 stop filter. So this is what it looks like with 6 stops of light reduction with the ND filter. We're at plus 0.7 EV now. You might decide this is what you want, but if you want to get closer to that 0.0 EV, you can dial in some additional light reduction. This is what it looks like with 7 stops of noise reduction. EV is currently plus 0.3, and you can keep turning this. This is with 8 stops until you get the exposure that you want. The meter reading now is negative 0.3 EV. These filters do have hard stops, so you can't go outside of the range on the individual filters, but they don't have clicks for the individual stops, so you can go between different stops. And this is what it looks like with a EV value of 0.0. So this is quote unquote perfect exposure, at least according to the Pocket 3. We're not going to get both the land and the sky perfectly exposed in this particular shot, just because the sun's so bright and we don't have enough dynamic range in the Pocket 3 to capture it all. But you might decide that this is the exposure that you want, 0.0, or you might decide to stop down even more. By stop down, I mean add even more ND. So we'll go to the maximum. This is 9 stops to really try and stop that sun from blowing out. In this particular scene, it becomes a creative choice, but at least now we know that that shutter speed is recording at 1/50th of a second, so we're getting that natural movie-like cinematic motion blur. I hope that's cleared up how to use a variable ND filter on your Pocket 3. Watch this video next if you want to learn even more tips on how to get the very best out of your Pocket 3. I'm Jason Roberts, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.